I ain't drunk. I'm just drinking. But you're so high. Oh man, you know I ain't high. But you're so high. Yeah, well I just take a little sip every now and then. But you're so high.
Hey kids, here we go. We're gonna build, like I said in the Condor video, which this is part of that series technically, we're going to build our 13-turn helical antenna for our long-range stuff, okay? So first thing we need, and I'll put a link in the description to the wonderful boys at FarVew, who are my brothers, awesome guys. Make sure I got the right fucking parts here. Yeah, there's one. There's two. Okay, cool. So where you can get this. Now, this is solely for long range. You do not want to use this for a good old-fashioned quad. I'm telling you. Because, again, I did a video on antennas and pagodas and helicals and patches and all that, and what's good for what, and all that good stuff. And shoot over to RC Model Reviews. He does way better antenna stuff than I would ever do. So first thing that we're going to do, here's our plate and guts. First thing we're going to do is the fun part. We're going to wind our tower. So what you want to do is take these three pieces, sorry. We're going to put them together and see which one's longer. Now that one's telling me I've got the wrong part. What did I just do with the box of stuff? Hang on. The reason I know that is when I put these two pieces together on this side, one, the beginning holes here down at the bottom should be staggered, and they were both even. I ordered two of these because I'm building one for my buddy Patrick. So we're going to start winding at the base. And which one's the next lowest? It's going to be this one. So we're going to put this in. Very, very simple to do. This part can be a bit tricky. Just getting everything lined up. Just like that. And then we're going to take this piece. I don't know if you guys can see this in the camera worth of shit. It's hard to do with trying to worry about focus and all that. So we're going to get in there, you bitch. There we go. Okay. Worry about alignment later. Okay. Bam, like that. Beautiful. Then it's a little hairy doing a 13. Now, you guys that know me know that I run 3-turn helical and a patch, a pagoda. I'm sorry, not a patch. Ooh, bite my tongue. A pagoda. So I run a 3-turn helical and a pagoda on my goggles always when I'm flying quads, when I'm flying planes, drones. This is going to be strictly for our long-range application. I'm not going to use this for quads because the bandwidth of what you're reaching out to is going to be very, very fucking narrow. So you want to be in front of you directionally. So if you're facing north, we want our plane to be flying north. And if you lose signal, you turn your fucking head a little bit and you'll pick it right back up. So this is where it gets sketchy. Just kind of help it a little bit. You don't want to overturn your coil too much. All right, I'm going to do this off camera, but you can see there where I'm not perfectly lined up. That's okay. But you don't want to fuck up your coil. This coil is turned to a specific... I might be able to get this. These are fun to make. I like making these things. If anybody wants to buy these and have me make them, they're fun. Have a drink, kick back in the garage. I like cleaning a carburetor on your motorcycle. It's just fun. All right. All right. Bam, bam. Look at that. Going together fairly well. For being a 13-turn. The other big one I built was a 7. I want to say I built a 12 or a 13 and sent it to my buddy in Australia. I can't remember. It was a big fucker, though. But I haven't even used my 7-turn. I said, fuck it, we're going big. Go big or go home. It's like I always say. Big is better unless it's disease, debt, or ass, right? So, you don't want any of those to be big. So there we go. And I've got my soldering iron heating up. It's going to be nice and toasty. Notice that's a dead hole. Bardwell. All right. going to make sure these are in line. Then we're going to take some super glue when we're done with this, and we're going to fix that. So let's move on to this. I'm going to need my glue anyway. Where is it? Oh, I've got such a head cold. So for those of you that are about to yell at me for snorting, fuck you. So here we go. Just like building a pagoda, we're going to take our coax. We're going to go down about 2 mil with a razor blade. Bam. Bam. Easy enough. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some solder and we're going to make a solder pool right there. I do have my soldering iron on fairly warm. Okay, it's not, what am I at? 411, so it's pretty toasty. More than I would do for a circuit board, but it just makes life easier. Okay, we're just going to puddle this a little bit. You'll see why in a minute. And I did a build video on a helical before. But just in case, I figure, fuck it, it's a refresher for everybody. Right. So we're going to push our coax through there so it's like surfaced. You can see the wire or the shield of the coax coming through. Now we're going to take our soldering iron again. Probably should use helping hands for this. And we're going to push the solder and seal it over. I built so many of these. It's faster for me to... I build them for friends and stuff. I only have like 2 or 3, but... Alright, bam, like that. Woohoo! So that is good. The next thing we're going to do is you want to put it through the case mount like this. Alright? It only goes in one way because they offset the holes, which is nice. And then this little bit is going to go in here. So I'm going to do all of these at the same time. So what I do, you can use epoxy or you can use CA. This is the same thing. Loctite. I've got CA and I've got Loctite. It's all the same, girl. Alright? Just like that. We're going to go like this. Whoop. Bank. Like that. And then we're going to take a little bit of glue. Like that. I do this at the same time because it just saves a little bit of time. Then I take some nose clamps that I get at Lowe's. You don't really have to do this bit. You don't have to clamp it. I do. I just like everything to be nice and flush, nice and even. Throw a couple clamps on there, let that sit. Perfect. And that is really about it. So while that is drying, now what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and throw some glue in here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just little bits here and there. This is just a support structure. Easy stuff. Doesn't have to be on every single little bit. And I'm probably using way more than I need. You guys are like, oh, it's so much glue. Fuck it. All right. Bam. Just like that. Make sure everybody's nice and straight. Perfect. Okay. We're going to let this stuff soak for about 10 minutes because I want that base to be clear. And then we're going to go ahead and finish this up. It's a very, very simple process. Bam. Be right back. All right. So I think we're good enough now. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take, it still probably could go a little bit longer, but yeah, it could. That's okay. Fuck it. We'll make it work. So now what you want to do is we're going to have to cut this coil down a bit, and that coil is going to be cut down right here. So I am going to take a nice strong side cutter. Again, I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. See the lowest hole? It goes higher, higher, higher. You're going to cut it at that lowest hole. And then it's going to mount in these like that. Very, very simple. I'm going to cut a little bit more off that. Good enough. Then what we're going to do is we're going to coat this end with solder. You do not have to do it this way. You can solder it once you apply, put it all together, but why not? This way is a little bit easier because you can tin it, you can heat it up a little bit better. You want your soldering iron good and hot for this. All right, just like that. Nothing but a peanut. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put a little dab of solder on our disc. Get the shit out of the way. Right on the positive side of our coax, or signal side, I should say. All right. Now we should fit rather nice. Just like that. Bam! Okay? So, what we do then is we take, again, some more super glue, or CA. I actually like using epoxy better. Epoxy has a little bit more flex to it. And it's like, I just like it better. But I don't feel like getting out the mixing cups and all that jazz. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to push it, and this gets a little sketchy with super glue because you got your fingers in there. It's 3D printed stuff. It fits fairly well most of the time. I usually try to line it up like this and then push down. You cunt. All right. Might be off camera here. You'll live. Alright, that was my fault. That is why you should use epoxy, because epoxy dries slower and it just makes life fucking easier. Where super glue, unless it fits perfect, it's a pain in the ass. So anyway, there we go. If you look at this, our coil is lined up perfectly. I did take a screwdriver and bent it up just a little bit. You don't want this coil touching the base plate. You only want it touching that little bitty bit of coax. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the two. I don't know if you can, you probably can't see this. That's okay. I'll show you when it's done. We'll connect the two with solder. Doing it kind of blind. There we go. Let's see. Make sure we got a good solid connection, which we do. Nice. All right, the only bit left to do is this bit. So what we're going to do, that's a little bit long. We're going to put on our SMA, or RPSMA, depending on what flavor you've got. Bam. And a little bit more. Very simple. Then what you want to do, take a little bit of solder and just put the solder again on the signal side. Get it good and hot. You don't want a lot there. How I do this usually is I'll take our SMA bit, I'll take a tweezers like that. I will heat up the stem. See if you can see this. Hard to do with one hand sometimes. We're going to heat up the solder and slide it over. Then apply some heat to the brass. Bam, that is forever. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put on our coupler, just like that. A little bit of an up angle. I'm going to heat from beneath and then roll it around. Heat it up under here, start the solder down here, and then bring it around the seam. Sorry if you can't see it, it's kind of hard to do. That. You should never even have to move your soldering iron. Heat it from the bottom and wrap it around. Let's see. Sorry. See, and then you've got a nice, you just follow the solder around. It's hard to see in the screen here. Nice and hot, nice and tight. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, if you want, you're supposed to, a lot of people will say, oh, you put your heat shrink on first and then put this on. The problem with that theory is usually that coax, it's so small and dissipates heat so funky that when you put this on, it's going to shrink before you want it to. So then what I'll usually do is I'll open it up with a needle nose lock of that. Now it made it a lot bigger. We're going to put it over. See, the heat just from soldering already made it shrink. There we go. That's more for looks than anything. It doesn't really do much. Now, the next thing I will do is I will put a little drop or two, oops, or a lot of CA glue on these just to give a little bit of stiction. Maybe another run across here just to give it some. If I used epoxy, I wouldn't do that. But, yeah, fuck it. There we go. Bam. All right. All right. So there you go, guys. 13-turn helical, rather phallic-looking thing. You can see up Spock's skirt with this shit. That is how it is done. Very, very simple. Again, special thanks to FarVew. I did buy these, but they gave me a couple little extra toys. I showed in the other video, they gave me some little spuds, little short dudes. I love FarVew. It's the only antenna I use. Period. End of discussion. Only antenna I will ever use. So anyway, there you go. 13-turn right-hand circular polarized helical antenna for the Condor project. So we can get some nice long-range video. Take care, kids. Keep shiny side up. Bye.